Ever heard anyone mention that vaccines cause autism? Or have you ever thought, I wonder if I will vaccinate my children? Well, I did back in 2012 before I took my sports nutrition class at BYU, Idaho, but now I do not even think twice about it. The majority of us will all have kids at some point in this lifetime, and we will all need to make the decision on whether we'll vaccinate our children or not. I have taken many classes where I have learned about vaccines and also about scientific research, including sports nutrition, microbiology, advanced exercise physiology, psychology, and sociology. I'm going to relay to you what I learned in those classes. The vaccinations are very important because herd immunity is important and that they do not cause autism. I'm going to teach you about herd immunity, why some people believe that vaccines cause autistic spectrum disorders, ASD, and about scientific peer-reviewed research articles with the correlation between vaccines and autism. I first want to introduce to you the idea of herd immunity. So herd immunity is when the majority of a population is immunized against a certain disease so that the general population is protected against it because there's little opportunity for an outbreak. It is important because not everyone can get vaccines. Infants at certain ages and those with certain medical conditions like cancer cannot receive vaccinations and are dependent on herd immunity. The Center for Disease Control says the recommended immunization schedule is designed to protect infant and children early in life, when they are most vulnerable and before they are exposed to potentially life-threatening diseases. The first immunization is given at birth, Hep B, and the next dose is given at 1 to 2 months. An infant then gets vaccinations at 2 months, 4 months, and 6 months. There are multiple diseases that a child does not get vaccinations for until they are 12 months old. This includes the MMR vaccine, measles, mumps, and rubella, the varicella vaccine, Hep A, Tdap, which is tetanus, diphtheria, and pertussis, and that's just to name a few. If herd immunity decreases, a child may catch a disease before they are even able to get the vaccine. The CDC reported in 2014 that in order to obtain herd immunity for MMR, 92 to 95% of children need to be vaccinated. The median rate for kindergartners in 2013 to 2014 school year that got the MMR vaccine was 95%, so right at the edge of that range there. The CDC also mentioned that in some communities, opt-out rates were soaring. Now I want to talk about why some people believe vaccines cause autism. The first idea that vaccines cause autism was from a British article based on a study that was done in 1998. It wasn't just the study that was bad, but the data was falsified that made it look like there was a link between autism and vaccines. Well, in fact, the doctor, Dr. Wakefield, was being paid by a law firm that had the intention of suing vaccine manufacturers. The article has since been retracted, and the doctor that falsified the data has been stripped of his medical license. And although all this has happened, it has had long-lasting effects, and public health has been damaged greatly because of it. I now want to talk about anecdotal evidence. If I type in personal stories of vaccines causing autism, there are 27,400,000 results that come up on how there are so many moms that want to tell their story about how their child contracted autism after receiving the MMR vaccine. But that's all it is anecdotal evidence. But what does the research really say? There have been many studies done that show there is no link between receiving vaccines and developing autism. In a CNN article about Wakefield, it said, "Unfortunately, his core group of supporters is not going to let the facts dissuade their beliefs that MMR causes autism." One article published in the Journal of Pediatrics and was titled, "Increasing Exposure to Antibody-Stimulating Proteins and Polysaccharides in Vaccines is Not Associated with Risk of Autism." The study looked at the number of antigens, which are substances in vaccines that cause the body's immune system to produce disease-fighting antibodies. The vaccines during the first 2 years of life. The results showed that the total amount of antigen from vaccines received was the same between children with autism and those that did not have autism. This study was done because one of the ideas on the rise is that in the first 2 years of life, children receive too many vaccines and too many in one visit. Those that believe vaccines cause ASD also have concern about thimerosal causing it. Thimerosal is a mercury-based preservative that is used to help prevent contamination in multi-dose vials. There have been 9 different studies done that were funded by the CDC or else conducted by the CDC that show there is no such link between thimerosal and ASD. And lastly, the New England Journal of Medicine published an article titled "A Population-Based Study of Measles, Mumps, and Rubella Vaccination and Autism." This was a retrospective cohort study of all children born in Denmark from January 1991 to December of 1998. There were 537,303 children in the study. 440,655 had received the MMR vaccine, and the rest had not. They found that 316 children were diagnosed with autism, and 422 were diagnosed with autistic spectrum disorders. The study showed that there was similar risk for developing autism/ASD, whether a child was vaccinated or not. Those are just a few articles that I was able to share with you today. I hope I have informed you that vaccines are very important and that herd immunity is very important, as well as that many studies have been done, many scientific, peer-reviewed, published articles that show there is no correlation between autism and vaccines or the MMR vaccine. I challenge you guys to research it out on your own and to make sure that they are good articles from accredited sources and learn for yourself the importance of everything that I have showed you today, and tell your friends. Talk to those that are contemplating on whether they should vaccinate their children. To teach them the importance of vaccines, their safety, and their importance. As Goethe said, "Knowing is not enough, we must apply. Willing is not enough, we must do."